Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go.
I'm the sales rep for Merit BMX. I'm like the new sales rep that's putting himself out there and riding and letting the kids know that, like, you don't have to be a BMXer, like the best BMXer, to get help in BMX. You can be whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a sales rep and still live the same dream as a BMX pro. And so, like, I got my job as a BMX sales rep because of Sean McKinney, because I'm so outgoing, except for I don't party. So I don't drink or do drugs or anything. And my boss hired me because they were like, look, we want Sean McKinney, but we don't want Sean McKinney. So 6 years ago, I called Sean McKinney and I found him because he was in Texas at the time. And I was like, hey, look, my name's Montana Ricky. I just want to call you and show you the respect and tell you I appreciate you getting me my job. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, all right, well, I got hired because they wanted a McKinney, but they didn't want a McKinney. And then we were talking and he goes, so how come you're talking to me? I said, well, I heard that.
Fact or freestyle? Montana Ricky challenged Sean McKinney to a talk-off and won.
If anyone gets you on the phone, you don't shut up and you can talk for hours. So I want to prove to you that I'm going to out-talk you. So 4 hours later, he goes, all right, kid, I can't take this shit anymore. You win. Fuck this. I'm over it. I'm hanging up. He goes, you love BMX way more than I love it. I got to go. And I was like, I love you, dude. And then so he just calls me. And, like, you know, him and Troy McMurray, if they call you, like, answer the phone. Talk to them, man.
Yeah, you pick up the phone.
You know, and that's the part that I hate is, like, a person did so much and got people so much into BMX, and BMX just doesn't show enough. And I'm very extreme with how I love BMX, and I go out of my way to, like, show love and try to do things. But I only feel that way because I'm so jealous of how skateboarding has there's this in skateboarding. I feel like in BMX, it's like, oh, I know this guy, I don't really know him. You know, like, get rid of egos and let's get like this, man. Yeah.
So when I moved to Oregon from San Diego, I started teaching BMX more. And I had this kid that was getting pretty good. He bought a Freestyle. He bought actually a Hoffman bike. It was when the X Games was down in San Francisco.
Okay. Fact or freestyle? Dave Nourie's comeback debut was in X Games as Chad DeGroot.
So I'm like, Connor, this kid's like 12 years old. I'm like, Connor, why don't we go down to the X Games and we'll go watch some of this crazy stuff live. It's where Mira did the first double backflip. Jay Maron did the 540 tail whip.
Yep.
Some crazy stuff went down. I filled in for Chad DeGroot when he was doing his final run because he didn't.
Did you hear this story? Did you hear this story, Ricky?
No, I didn't, but give it
This
to
shit
him.
is awesome. Please,
So what
divert.
happened was, Chad's there. So keep in mind now, I'm kind of removed from the whole scene because I'm in Oregon now, doing my thing. Now I'm teaching at the Y, kind of disconnected with a lot of the scene from Southern California. Obviously, I've got my family and I'm still riding, but not nearly consistent. So I go to the X Games with my friend Connor, and the first day we couldn't even get in. Like, we had to wait in line. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any passes. By the next day, I got passes. By the third day, I actually had like friends and family pass. So I brought my bike in. So I see Chad after he did his run. I'm like, he's looking really bummed out. I'm like, Chad, what's up? He's like, oh man, I just found out that all the people that didn't qualify have to go and do another run. So all the losers have to see how bad they lost. And I joked with him. I said, well, why don't you just go out there and do like a completely old school trick, like all old school, real basic tricks. And he kind of chuckled. And you know how Chad is. He was kind of thinking about, like, considering it. Okay, so then a few minutes later, he comes walking back by and they're getting ready to do this segment, which the TV's not there. There's still a crowd of people because it's the X Games, but there's no television. And it's about 8 to 10 riders that have to see where they actually play. So I have to do another run. So I said, Chad, why don't you let me go out there for you? And he's like, what?
Yes.
I'm like, no, seriously. And he's riding for horror at the time, right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll go out there and I'll just be Chad DeGroot. I'll put your jersey on. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you'll ride my bike? I go, no, I got my bike right here. Once he knew that I had my bike, he took off his jersey and just put it on. I even put his hat on. And my friend Connor was sitting there and he couldn't believe it. He's like, "You're going to ride in the X Games?" I'm like, "Well, it's not really the X. I mean, yeah, I guess." And I went out there and I did this all old school trick. You know, I did the Gumby and all my everything, you know. And this isn't even the Sean.
Did you do a moonwalk? Please tell me you did that moonwalk move.
No, I don't do that moonwalk very well. No, that's Fiola's trick. But so Connor, on the way back, I'm like, "All right, Connor, what did you see? You got a double backflip. You got the 540 tail whip." He's like, "Dude, the fact that you rode for Chad Groot was the best part of the whole contest." And Chad got a bunch of flack from Haro for that. Like, even though it wasn't televised and everything, and like the people that were announcing, they knew it was me, but they're like, "Oh, yeah, Chad Groot," and he's pulling out the Nourie handstand.
Was John still running it at the time?
I don't remember. So this would have been 99, the first year they did in San Francisco.
I'm trying to think who the TM was at the time. Who was the TM?
I don't remember.
It's so corporate. That's so great. Why would you get slack for that? You need John Paul Rogers. He would have loved the shit out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish the story, I wish you won it for him and he made it in the finals. And then he said hell with it and made you ride it. Was it the time when he had like, what did he look like? Did he have like the weird goatee, facial hair and stuff? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And you're same face, like shaven and clear and everything?
Yeah. Clean cut boy, yeah.
Oh, my.
It was classic.
So when you said Josh White?
GT, early, 80s GT rider.
Okay. All right. So hold on a second. So there's this picture of Josh White.
factOrFreestyle. Josh White self-identifies as a ground rider in order to drop a humble brag.
Josh White used to do awesome Ken look backs. And there was this quote of him where he just says, "I consider myself a ground rider." And
no, it wasn't a quote. It was on the cover of a freestyler.
Yeah, it was his quote on the cover. And it was like, whoa, what do you mean? I'm calling humble brag. There is no way he considered himself a ground rider. Maybe he thought he was a ground rider, but no one can be that dialed. He was doing freewheel abubakas. You're not a ground rider in doing freewheel abubakas and can look backs, especially not in dyno shoes and dyno helmet.
And here's my take on it. So the first AFA contest he showed up at, he was blasting and just doing crazy variations. He was doing no-footed, one-handed X-ups, like insane stuff. But he was landing really, really hard. Like he was almost flat bottom, but he was pulling it.
factOrFreestyle. Josh White got trolled into getting dialed.
So everyone was like, "Yeah, he's got some crazy combination, but he's kind of landed pretty hard."
He was a ground rider because he landed on flat ground.
Yeah, exactly. So then the next AFA contest, this is when they're like every 3 months, Venice Beach, Huntington Beach, like
Chad Harrington.
So the next contest he comes back, and sure enough, Josh is just like landing right at the top. I mean, scary on the edge of the lip. Super smooth. And he stayed with that style, right? And everyone's like, "Yeah, he's pretty smooth now and he does his variations and stuff, but he doesn't really hold his extensions very long." And again, Josh took that and like pushed him. And the next contest, I swear to God, I saw him do a no-footed one-handed can, and he landed like his pedals wouldn't be level. His pedal would be straight down. He would put his foot on his pedal right as he hit the transition. Like he couldn't have held it any longer. So I have mad respect for the guy.
Yo, the 360 frame grab turn down, the greatest trick ever done in BMX. I don't give a shit what anyone says. He did one recent in like 98 or 97. I have a photo of it. The 360. Joe Rich posted it of the Goot doing the 360 frame grab or head tube, 360 head tube turn down. So I was looking for this whole thing. So
factOrFreestyle. Montana Ricky got sponsored by Biz House for doing a 540 on the 2-hip quarter pipe during the after-show sticker toss autograph session.
John Bristol taught me how to 540 on a vert ramp when I was 13. When I was 12 years old, 2-hip came to Montana. And Ron Wilkerson was like filming, and like as a young kid, I'm from Montana, so we don't have shit. So if anyone shows up, I'm gonna go ham. So like they showed up, and I instantly, as soon as they set the ramps, I didn't even like say nothing. I just blasted. I blasted that shitty ass 8 foot. Remember it was like that 6 foot or 8 foot thing, right? And then Ron Wilkerson's like, "Oh shit, kid. Mostly the time you need a help. Like, you can't be riding that, right?" And I was like, "Oh, my bad, dude. I just thought like you were gonna set it up. I was just gonna hang out." And so like they start doing the show or whatever not, and then Ron puts the camera on me. He's like, "Hey kid, what do you think of the show?" And I said, "Man, I got a circus in my pants right now." And Ron's like, "Oh, you're so weird, kid." And then fast forward like 6 years later or something, I think it was 99 or 98. Shaun White, you know Shaun White is, right? Is it
Yeah,
Shaun White?
yeah.
Yeah, so Shaun White, like they show up again, and obviously I think I'm like 15 at the time. As soon as they set it up, I just blast the vert ramp thing and did a 540 and then landed down and then just did a disco air over the jump box. And then landed, and Shaun White came up to me and goes, "Holy shit, kid." He goes, "I don't think you should be jumping on these, but that was a pretty good move." And then they do the show. We take them out street riding. We ended up putting Puker in the hospital because Puker did a double bar and landed, like missed the whole backside. And then Dave Littleman ended up breaking his foot. And so it was just Shaun White and some other guy. And then it had to have all of us Montana guys do the rest of the two-hip show in Bozeman, Montana, Missoula, Kalispell. We had to travel with them because they hung out with us for one day and we put everybody in the hospital. And then at the end, Shaun White's like, "Hey kid," he's like, I was doing full cabs. Like I was really obsessed. I could do like 5 cabs and full cabs and 720 cabs. And Sean's like, "Yo, I'm starting a new company called Biz House." He's like, "Here's a stem, a prototype stem, and you're on the team." And then I never saw him again or anything like that, but I had that stem and everything, and I was looking because I keep everything, and he gave me a card and like everything, and I was hoping I could find it so I could show you guys. I was on Biz House.
That's awesome.
Dude, that is the best way to get on a team, is to break everyone else off.
That's such a good tactic. Great stories. Keep the factor freestyle going because that's what life's all about.
Hell yeah.
Ricky, dude, it's so dope that you were able to join us. I am personally hoping that during the course of recording, Jose will get the word and somehow will actually do the thing. That's what I'm hoping.
We'll actually do the event.
This is awesome that you're doing this, Joe.